Well, thank you so much for being here with me once again on another episode of A Legacy of Love, Un Legado de Amor. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Maria Palmer. Thank you for being here with me today, Maria.
Thank you so much for having me, Analee. I appreciate it.
Um, well, first of all, I would love to know a little bit about you and that precious book that you have there called On the Rocks.
Sure. So I grew up right outside of Pittsburgh in a little suburb called McKees Rocks, PA. Nobody's ever heard of it until about 2 years ago. Damar Hamlin on the Buffalo Bills collapsed on the field, and he is, in fact, from McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. And his mother's daycare that he's raised close to $10 million for sits across the street from what once was my family's restaurant, which was called the Prima Donna. My dad bought a failing business. He's incredibly entrepreneurial and he turned it into one of America's hottest restaurants. And we had all of these celebrities and sports stars and broadcasters and whoever was who in Pittsburgh or traveling came to our restaurant. And we won national awards and all different types of culinary awards. And things were going so well. My dad was a radio show host and a columnist for the Pittsburgh Post Gazette, and he ran for political office. And on one fated day, I was working for him. I was a junior in college, and I was at home, and the federal government came and knocked on my door looking for my father. My father had never been in trouble before, but somebody had mentioned his name in a federal grand jury investigation. And unfortunately, that was kind of the moment that changed everything for us as a family. And we were investigated for about 3 years. And he eventually pled guilty to tax evasion charges. And we lost everything that we had with our restaurant. So this book was a 17-year project with my writing partner, who was my former AP English teacher, Ruthie Dines Robbins, and we tell the story as my father. And it's a very personal piece to me because it shows all sides of humanity. And I always say, there's a duality of humanity, right? There's things that make us great that we want to share with the world. There's also things that we would rather the world not know, and decisions that we've made that we would rather potentially change. And I think one of the beautiful things about my dad's life story and actually all of our life stories, is it's a little balance of both. And I was just so happy to be able to share our story because it was a very public one. But to tell people not necessarily what happened, because you can Google that, right? But kind of the why behind how everything happened. And it's just been an honor and a privilege to be on this journey. It's wonderful.
Yes, and could you share a little bit more about what happened? What was he involved? I mean, as much as you feel like sharing, because there might be people here on the audience that might be facing something like this, and maybe they have been thinking, that's going to catch up to me, or what was it exactly that happened? And what did you learn out of all this? Because you had to find the way to forgive and to overcome this journey with your dad.
Sure. So, what exactly happened was almost in a way kind of a fluke. So, you have to understand, my dad is very much a larger than life type character. Whenever he walks into the room, other people notice him, and he's fills the room with kind of his billows of laughter and warm personality, and people kind of want to come up to him. The funny story, my sister does hair and makeup. And for a while, she would bring my dad with her to kind of like collect money, for the people that were coming in doing these bodybuilding competitions. And for the longest time, some of the makeup artists that worked for her just assumed that my dad was in charge. He wasn't. He was just helping my sister collect money, but he has that kind of commanding personality. And what happened was there was a federal grand jury investigation, which for those of you who aren't, familiar with legal speak, it's basically whenever somebody is being investigated, they are in essence asked if they could name anybody else who might be doing something that is below the bar, or who they think may be doing something below the bar, kind of illegal. So somebody else, not my father, was being investigated, and that other person mentioned my father's name, so he kind of got his get out of jail free card per se. And then what happened is the federal government came to my dad and asked him the same question. And my dad is very much about loyalty and said, I'm not going to say, something about somebody else. If you have doubts about me, then you have to do what you have to do. And the government has like a 99 point something conviction rate. So if they want you, they will get you. And for my dad, it boiled down to him being a poor bookkeeper, and he pled guilty to tax evasion charges, which became the beginning of the end. That
Mhm.
unfortunately is a federal crime. Because of how it came down, normally it would be a civil crime. It was, I think, over the 3 year period that they were investigating him for. He had evaded less than $30,000 of taxes per year, which for anybody who's a small business, that's not a substantial amount of money at that point. There's people that evade millions of dollars of taxes a year. And he did try to do an offer and compromise to just pay it back civilly. But when you're part of a federal grand jury investigation, it's an automatic criminal case, unfortunately, which we learned the hard way.
Wow. Well, this sure was a learning process for you all. And how were you able to overcome this, Maria?
I had to fall on my face to get back up on my feet. Whenever this was happening, it was over a course of 3 years. So it started whenever I was a junior in college. And I decided after college, my boyfriend then, husband now, was moving to Los Angeles to pursue a film job. And I decided to kind of go with him and start over anew. And what you don't realize is that whenever you do have pain or hurting, hopping on a plane is not going to solve your problems. They come in your carry-on luggage with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to LA, I'm a very friendly person myself. I just couldn't even manage to make eye contact with people or say hello because I thought immediately they would know that there was something wrong with me. And it took me a lot of healing, some serendipity. I met this crazy gambling, swearing Catholic nun in California, and she had started an organization called Get on the Bus that brought children to see their incarcerated parents.
Mm.
And I started just by telling my story. I was not public with my story at the time. I started by telling it not for me. I told it because I wanted to raise money for her and for her organization. And it was very healing and cathartic. I ended up working and becoming the director of that organization. And that's when the true healing began because the families who I was quote unquote helping actually were helping me. And they taught me things about not carrying your shame and unconditional love and, what it means to maybe have a couple of tiger stripes, right? Like you don't need to be perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, and really what's at the core of your soul is so much more important than those little speed bumps that you're going to go through in life. And I think that that was the start of my healing journey, and also the start of the passion for my career too, for sure.
Yes, most definitely. What would you tell someone that's listening to us today that is facing something related to what you just shared?
Oh my goodness. The days seem long and hard, and it seems like you have a heavy weight on your shoulders, and it's never going to get better. But I can tell you sitting here, 17, 20 years later, that it does. And the person that trudges through that quicksand and trudges through the mud and, focuses on one step at a time, one day at a time. I mean, even if it's silly, stupid stuff like scheduling times to sit down and eat, because whenever I'm sad, whenever I'm depressed, I don't eat.
Wow.
I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. So for me, and I love food, really, truly. I love food. I mean, I grew up all around food, but for me, that's something that I have to kind of take priority. I also don't sleep well. So, finding time to relax or meditate or just, silly little things that are steps in the right direction.
Hmm.
Because I always tell people, and this is like my quote that I use even with my clients and my nonprofit work. It's not the smartest person in the room that's the most successful. It's the person with the most resilience. And I really truly believe that.
Yes, that's actually very true. I agree with you. And that book that you have on the rocks, where could people find this book? And where could they find you if they're actually facing something like this? Do you have a website? Where could people find you? Because I know that there has to be other people out there that are facing this, or maybe they might be facing it later on in the future and the near future, and your story could actually help them. Where could they find you? Where could they purchase your book?
Sure. So the book is basically wherever books are sold. Go on Amazon or any bookstore, and if it's not there, they can order it for you. Finding me super easy. My name is Maria, and then my middle initial is C, like cat for Costanzo, and then my last name is Palmer, Palmer, and I'm mariacpalmer.com. And on that page, you'll be able to access a ton of information, all of the upcoming events that we have, all of the media that we've been featured on, any photos or video or anything, ways to contact us. We're always doing something, and we do a lot of virtual events too. We do book clubs. So if you want to get some friends together and read on the rocks, and you'd like us to come to your book club virtually in New Mexico, we are happy to do that. And we will certainly do that free of charge as well. That's something that we're very passionate about for sure.
Well, I think that today what I take from your message is resilience, to never give up, to continue pursuing and continue, believing and knowing that things will eventually get better. Like you said, it took several years, but eventually you were able to overcome all that adversity and all those experiences. And your dad eventually was out. He was well. You were able to move on and things got a lot better. That's the message that I want you all to take today. And if you would love to reach out to Maria Palmer, as she said, it's Maria and C as in cat, Palmer, Palmer, and you will be able to find her. Why not? And have her go to one of your events and bring healing, transformation, restoration. And I wish you the very best. And thank you for being here with me once again on another episode of A Legacy of Love. Thank you.
Thank you.